You've heard the call from your highest self and you're seeking to answer it, but how? In this video, I'm going to guide you to do just this. I'm Briana Borten and I help people awaken to their highest selves. Subscribe to my channel and hit that bell to get alerted when I post a new video every Monday. What is your highest self and why should you want to invite it to take the driver's seat of your life? Well, there are plenty of good reasons, but if I had to choose a single word, it would be freedom. Da 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 da. There are different levels of freedom, and the everyday freedom we talk about means being free to say what you want to say, free to do what you want to do as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else. Free to have the color of skin you have, to read the books you want to read, and so on. Basically, we mean civil liberties. But the kind of freedom I'm talking about, the freedom that comes from expanding into your higher self, is very different. It's really a freedom from the confines of the things you identify with, your mind, your body, your personality, and all your stuff. That may sound less grand than the civil liberties definition of freedom, but it's completely possible and incredibly common, actually, to be a free citizen, but a total prisoner of your identities, or what's sometimes called your small self. It's also possible to be deprived of civil liberties and yet still be completely spiritually free. You could be in a jail cell with your higher self shining through you, feeling totally unrestrained. An important first step for inviting your higher self to guide you is to be willing. This means not just being willing for your higher self to step in, but that other controlling elements must surrender the steering wheel. Often, that feels very threatening to the ego. So it can be useful to remember that your goal isn't to destroy your ego. You want to reassure your ego that you're not trying to get rid of it. If you feel anxious or clutchy around the idea of surrendering, speak to that part of yourself kindly. Feel willingly what arises in your body. Let the sensations flow through you. Acknowledge that your powerful mind has helped you out quite a bit, and it has meant well. It's just always been trying to protect you. But it's also been given so much power that you may have forgotten entirely that you are not your mind. Your mind may so completely occupy the stage in your consciousness that you've lost sight of the fact that your mental feed is just a very thin sliver of reality. It's like living in a bubble of your Facebook feed. And then imagine that Facebook is rather insecure and it always wants to be the most important thing. So that part of yourself that is reluctant to relinquish the spotlight to something bigger and more authentic, say thank you. I appreciate you. And wouldn't you like to take a little rest in the back seat? Along with practicing a willingness to let your higher self in, start intentionally opening the line of communication to this divine self. It's not something separate from you. It's right there in your heart all the time. It loves you dearly. It wants only the best for you. Invite it to have a voice and start listening to what it says. Give it access to your mind's eye and start seeing what it shows you. Start picking up on the feelings it evokes in you. Start paying attention to the ideas it shares with you. It's easy to miss these communications, often because we have acquired ideas about what it's going to be like. Maybe you're expecting a strong presence that is distinctly not you, saying, buy a lottery ticket, the numbers are 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, and 13. It's possible that it will be like that, but more likely it's going to be a much closer experience. Because the truth is, your higher self has been talking to you your whole life. And sometimes it doesn't come through as a voice, but as images or feelings or knowings. As you become conversant with it, you may have an aha moment when you realize, oh, it's this? It's this? This has been here all the time. It's so close that I missed it. Along with practicing a willingness to let your higher self live through you and an opening of the channels of communication, a third step to cultivate is trust. Trust that your inner self will steer you toward your highest good, that it will guide you to opportunities for healing and awakening. And by the way, if you don't resonate strongly with the term higher self or inner self, you can substitute the divine or the universe or God or goddess or awareness or whatever works best for you. As you practice trust, drop into your heart and open it. Along with the confinement that a mind-dominated life brings, there's a tendency to close our hearts. And closing your heart is a reflex. We do it when we're uncomfortable, when we're afraid, when we resist anything about life. Subconsciously, we close the heart in an attempt to not experience something we're averse to. But it really backfires on us. It doesn't make life feel better. It just reduces our capacity to feel and connect, and it blocks out our highest self. So trusting and heart opening go hand in hand. We need to have some measure of trust in order to open our hearts. And we need to open our heart a little in order to begin to perceive that divine light in which we're putting our trust. As you work through these practices, being willing, dialoguing, trusting, and opening your heart, you'll become increasingly aware of the aspects of yourself that are countering you. Start to recognize these confining identities. 1, your challenged, limited thoughts, meaning all the thoughts you believe that contract you rather than expand you. 2, your resisted emotions. When you resist feelings, your feelings, they become more dense and more sticky. 3, your complaints about your body. 4, your complaints about literally anything. 5, your attachments to your stuff. And 6, your fixed point of view about how the world should be and how you believe people should behave. The more you notice these things and feel into how they contract your experience and squeeze out your higher self, the more readily you'll want to start letting them go. Even though there's some satisfaction in being attached to these qualities because they strengthen the ego and make your identity feel more solid as you recognize over and over that this small confining identity is a source of all your suffering, you start to value freedom more. This process is, to a great extent, one of discovering this isn't really what I am, and surrendering to something more, something eternal and peaceful and powerful and beyond all the drama that grips so many of our lives. That is your highest self, aka love. If you want more guidance toward this inner place I've been talking about, I created a free inner compass meditation and journal prompts, and I'll put the link below in the video description. I encourage you to do this process. It is so incredible. If you liked this video, please like it and subscribe and share it with your friends, and check out my other videos to create more freedom and expansion in your life, like this one on the importance of conflict, and this one on creating a sacred relationship with your work in the world. I am so grateful to be on this path with you, and I'm sending you so much love.